Hello, it's Alpha here and we are back with some more PvP content. Today we are going to take a look at my updated version of the regular arena defense team tier list. This tier list does not follow the typical A tier, B tier, C tier type of structure, but instead it's kind of like formatted more like wishlist would be formatted. So in a sense, this list has a separate tier list for each faction and each rarity. So you can look at each of the rows as their own tier list in a way. So reading from left to right, the leftmost hero is best hero of that specific row. If we just start with the Lightbearers, I think that the best S rarity Lightbearer heroes are Siren and Perseus. And then on the second row, the best A rarity Lightbearer hero is Zany for defense teams. And then you see this gap between the heroes on the left side and the heroes on the right side. So that means that whenever I'm building a defense team, I would mostly only consider using the heroes that are on the left side. But keep in mind that even though I say this, it doesn't mean that you cannot build a defense team using heroes from the right side. You could definitely build a defense team that uses something like Hugin or Rowan or Walker, for example, especially if you have them at like high ascension compared to your other heroes, or if you have them with high EX weapons. Couple other markings you might notice on the tier list is that some of the heroes have like a border around them. So if the hero has a yellow border, there's only few of those heroes. It means that the hero is new to the tier list, so they have been added to the tier list since the last time that I made the list. So for example, Perseus has the yellow background because he's a new hero. Some heroes also have red background. It just means that those heroes are maybe better for attack teams instead of defense teams, but because this is mostly a tier list for defense teams, then their kind of like rankings are a bit lower down. Some couple small other markings that I have on the tier list, there are some like green or red arrows below some heroes. That means that their ranking has changed. For example, we can see that I've dropped down Rowan from the left side to the right side, and same is true for Hugin. Then if there is like a portrait, like a small portrait next to a hero, it just means that they have synergy with that hero. And mostly if I would use that hero, I would use it in combination with other heroes. So for example, with Faye, if I were to use her, I would probably use her in combination with Belran. The letter T means that these heroes are usually only used in a very specific team. So they don't have a lot of different teams that they can be used in. And then the letter R is just that these heroes are quite rare currently, at least from my experience. Now, maybe it's a bit different on some other servers. So maybe, for example, Zany is more popular on some other servers, but at least on my server, I hardly see Zany being used at all. Okay, so that is pretty much everything that there is to know about this tier list. Then we can quickly talk about the specific heroes that I have on the left side. So these are just a couple team examples where you could use Siren. And yeah, as you can see, he is a very flexible hero to use in a lot of different teams. He does a lot of damage. He does AoE damage, has powerful ultimate. So that's why he's often combined with Tador, for example, because with the help of Tador, he can cast his ultimate like a couple seconds into the fight because he has high starting energy, and Tador also gives him extra energy. Other quite good team for Siren is one with Bonnie and Satrana, and this is good because Siren does magic damage and AoE magic damage, so that means that if you combine Siren with Bonnie, you can spread the debuff from Bonnie into enemy team because it spreads whenever enemies are hit with magic damage. And also Satrana gives her buff to Siren, and then Siren can spread the Satrana's debuff to the enemy team as well, which means that the enemies will also get a vitality debuff, and they will take continuous damage from the Satrana's burning effect. Then we have Perseus, who is new to the list. Now, Perseus is better at attack teams, but he can definitely be used as part of your defense team as well. especially if your opponent doesn't exactly know how to counter him. he can be really difficult to deal with. So this is one example team where you could use him. Now, of course, there are a lot of different placements that you can do with this team. You can use it on different arenas as well. The last spot in the team is quite flexible. You definitely don't have to use Dunninger if you don't want to use, or if you don't have Dunninger. You could instead use something like Laika that we have here as an example, or Damon, or Pang, or yeah. But the one thing that I will say about Perseus is that I think he's not as flexible hero. Like we saw, I listed him with the letter T, which means that he needs quite specific team for him to actually work. Then we have Saini, and like I said, she's quite rare at the moment, at least based on my experience, and I don't know any other teams that utilizes her, but this is one of the teams that I came up with when I was doing testing on the Pioneer server, and this team was working really well. But Zaini is like quite, I would say, luxury hero in a sense that I don't know how many teams are actually using her. But yeah, that's it for the Lightbearers. Then we have the Maulers. The Mauler list hasn't really had changes compared to last time. Still, I think the best S rarity hero for defense teams is Sandrock, and Sandrock is mainly used in combination with Perseus. I don't really know any other teams that would necessarily want to use Sandrock right now, but it is possible that in the future, if there is like more good melee heroes, then Sandrock will gain more teammates. But right now, I think he's quite rare and mostly used in combination with Perseus. And then the best A rarity Mauler is still Satrana, and she is great in combination with Bonnie. Yeah, so here is an example of the team. This is actually the team that I'm using currently on my regular arena defense. But instead of Athalia, you could use other heroes like Siren, Talene, or Saida. I'm not going to talk about the heroes on the right side that much. I guess like sometimes you will see Shakir used in combination with Theodor, because Theodor can give energy to Shakir, and Shakir starts with high initial energy, so that means that he can actually ultimate right away when the battle starts, and that can be really effective if the Shakir is able to jump into the enemy team, and he can do a lot of like AoE damage. But that team is quite like unreliable because it's hard to control where the Shakir is going to jump. So if the opponent knows what they're doing and they know how the Shakir will jump, it can be quite easy to make it not very effective. So that's why I don't think that the teams that are using Shakir are usually that great. Yeah, then we have Wilders, and Wilders probably have the most like usable heroes currently for defense setups. I wouldn't say that that much has changed since the last time we looked at the Wilder heroes. I think Lily May is probably still the top hero from the Wilders faction. Yeah, Lily May is just a super like flexible hero that has utility because she can interrupt the enemy hero's ultimates. So she's like easy hero to kind of like throw into any team as the fifth hero. But now with the help of some other like temporal buff heroes like Ravion, she is also seeing use as kind of like a main damage dealer in some of these like burst type of defense teams. So yeah, still great hero for defense setups. Also kind of like hard to kill because she keeps like being untargetable whenever she uses some of her abilities. Yeah, then we have Ravion as a new hero to the list with the yellow background in here. Now, one thing I'll say about the Wilder heroes that when it comes to these 6 heroes, you could like pretty easily argue that any one of them should be higher up or lower up. These are probably like the hardest heroes to place in order, in my opinion. Like some people say that Tassi is still really good. Some people say that Tassi is probably not that great anymore. So yeah, I don't know what the exact order of these 6 heroes should be, but this is kind of like based on my feeling right now. I don't have like specific teams for Ravion because he is more in a support role in those teams that he is being used, but we have already seen like multiple teams utilizing Ravion even in this video, so he's quite decent at a lot of different teams. Then we have Pang, and he's one of those quite rare heroes as well. You don't really see that much of him being used. Yeah, he's one of those heroes that can do a lot of damage as long as he can reach the enemies. But other than that, he can be also in this kind of like support role in teams because he provides a shielding for the allied heroes and also can give them some attack buff and crowd control immunity. So he can work with heroes like Perseus and Lily May as well. Then we have Tassi. I moved Tassi down just like a couple spots on this list because I don't really see her being used that much anymore, but she can definitely be powerful with heroes like Pandora as long as the enemy team doesn't like interrupt her ultimate. Or then the other route is kind of using Tassi in combination with something like Tailin and giving the Tailin Spire buff to Tassi, and then Tassi will fly into the enemy team and like slowly kill the enemy team. I think Tassi's issue is kind of like sometimes she doesn't do anything, but at the same time, if the enemy team is like not well equipped to deal with Tassi, she can be this hero that basically kills whole enemy team on her own. I guess especially if the Tassi is like high Paragon compared to the enemy team or has like high Paragon and high EX weapon, she can be quite difficult to deal with. So do keep that in mind. But I guess if she's not like high Paragon compared to the enemy team, then she can be like quite underwhelming, at least from my experience. Yeah, then as a new hero, I lifted Indris in here because I did some testing with Indris during the last Pioneer server and I was able to do a couple teams that were pretty good with Indris. He can do a lot of damage as long as he can survive, and that's kind of like his issue, I guess, surviving. But with the help of new heroes like Ravion and Aliceth, it's not going to be as easy for the enemy team to kill Indris anymore. Previously, at least one of the main weaknesses for Indris was that if the enemy team had Athalia, then Athalia would always just kill Indris after like a couple seconds into the fight, and there was not really that many things you could do to prevent that from happening. But with the Ravion and Aliceth, they will be able to protect your Indris at least a little bit more with the death protection ability that they have. Then from the A rarity, we have Theodor, who is great at doing damage, tanking and providing energy. So he is mostly used in combination with heroes like Siren, for example, but he can be used in a lot of different teams. And then Laika, I lifted here as a new hero because she can be used as a temporal buff hero in combination with Lily May and Perseus once again. Outside of that, I would probably not really use her, but with those two heroes, she can be good. And then Damien is still here. I guess he can be still decent, usually used in combination with stall teams. So for example, a team with Tassi and Tailin could utilize Damien, or maybe even some kind of like Athalia Saida team could utilize him. Then from the Graveborn Heroes, nothing has really changed from the last time, except that Isabella is added as a new hero to this list, but at least right now I don't know any team that would really want to use her, so that's why she's on the right side. On the left side we still have Igor, kind of as the top hero. Now Igor is very team reliant hero. He doesn't really work on his own, but he works really well in combination with heroes like Bonnie and Athalia. Then we have Shemira, and there are a lot of different team variations that people are using, so these are some of the most common heroes. But basically using a mix of these heroes is usually what Shemira teams look like. Then we have Ludovic, Damon and Toran. Damon and Toran can be used as tanks, still like decent tanks, and Ludovic is one of the best healers for PvP. So if you are building a team that relies on healing, then Ludovic is usually your go-to hero for that. And then Bonnie is still great, one of the best damage dealers. Works best in combination with something like Danninger, Igor and Satrana. Yeah, Niru can be used to deal some damage and some healing. Mostly his use case is to work as Lily May bait. So if the enemy team has Lily May, Niru will start the battle by casting his ultimate, and then the enemy Lilime will interrupt your Niru instead of your other heroes. Now Niru has some other utility when combined with Bonnie, for example, because Niru also does magic damage, so that can help your Bonnie team to spread the Bonnie's debuff to the enemy team. Then lastly, we have the Celestial Hyperzone Heroes and the Dimensional Heroes. Yeah, with the Dimensional Heroes, the only one that currently sees that much use is Pandora, and she's mostly used with Shemira and Tassi, I guess, but she can also be used with other heroes like Dianel and Cryanaya, and just any hero that has like a powerful ultimate, but those are maybe the most common ones. And then with the Celestial Hyperzone Heroes, not that much has changed. Aliceth is added as a new hero. I don't think she's as good as like Athelia, for example, but she can definitely be good in some specific teams. I think people are mostly using her in combination with Lilime. And then I also did testing with Indris, and she works pretty well with Indris as well. Right now, I don't know that many teams that are using her, so that's why she's kind of like in the middle right now. The best Celestial Hyperzone for defense is still Dunninger, in my opinion, because he prevents enemy teams from using like Pandora, for example. So you can't do Pandora Shemira or Pandora Tassi, or you can't do something like Siren and Theodor, so that's why Dunninger is there. And then maybe the second best one is still Athelia, just the hero that does insane amounts of damage. Usually the ultimate will kill someone, and then even if the enemy team kills Athelia, she can just keep on doing the damage. And she is usually combined with heroes like Igor or Saida for a stall effect. So Igor or Saida, or both of those heroes, will stall the fight as long as possible, and then while that is happening, Athelia keeps on killing the enemies. Maybe one of the main ways to kind of like counter this would be with Cryanaya, because Cryanaya can kill Igor and Saida. There are not that many like heroes that can kill Igor and Saida easily, but Cryanaya has the execute effect with her ultimate. But the thing is that if the enemy team also has Dunninger, so that's once again why Dunninger is good, Cryanaya is not able to cast her ultimate that easily, and that means that the Igor and Saida is safe at least for some time during the fight. Yeah, Thaelin is kind of like a easy hero to put into any team really. She can do some tanking, and then she will revive during the fight and provide some healing for your team. And then if she is not interrupted, once she casts her ultimate, the ultimate also does a lot of like AoE damage. So she's like pretty flexible hero to use in any team, but usually she is used in combination with stall teams, because she is kind of also like a stall hero in a sense that she keeps reviving during the fight. So used in combination with something like Tassi or Igor often. Yeah, I guess that's it for the tier list this time. Now one quick addition that I made is this kind of like second tier list. So this is when the enemy team has Dunninger, how the tier list changes. So this is just a rough kind of guideline as to what heroes I would use in a situation where I know that the enemy team who is going to be attacking me is using Dunninger, and that means that quite a lot of those ultimate reliant heroes will fall off the list because they don't really do that much. So for example, you can see here that Siren is dropped off into like a second position. Siren is still like usable in some teams, even if the enemy team has Dunninger, but obviously his effect is less good. But yeah, he can still be useful in like a Satrana Bonnie type of team. And then also heroes like Aaron and Brian will drop off from the list, and ultimate reliant heroes like Shemira, for example, will get a lot worse. So that's why I kind of like dropped them off from the list. But yeah, this was the tier list update. Hopefully this was helpful and gave you some ideas as to like what heroes to use and what kind of teams they are used in. I will probably do more PvP testing videos later on this week, because I think we will have the Pioneer test happening during this week. So maybe we get to see even some of the new heroes tested during the weekend. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!